So again, I want to welcome you to the Accessible Game Apps from APH and more, and I'm going to turn it over to Jim and Joe.
Super. All right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Jim Sullivan, and I am a member of the Social Enterprise team with APH. And joining us here momentarily is going to be Joe Hodge, a team member of ours. We're going to get started. Today, after introductions, Joe is going to walk us into the crossword puzzle solution from APH, followed by a look at a solution called Slapstack Math. He's also going to bring up a solution called Audio Game Hub, and then get into talking about Apple Viz, audiogames.org, as well as a narrative about some accessibility options in the Xbox. So just a few notes here. Number one, we'll wrap this up in about 45 minutes. This is a three-part series, and you'll be able to find these in the Hive, which is APH's learning management system that will be coming in the fall of 2020. And Leanne has been busy working on that. This specific class will have no CEUs. And we do, as she mentioned, invite you to throw questions that you have into the chat throughout the 45 minutes of presentations. Just a reminder, for upcoming webinars on Friday, the CATS program, which is out of Talladega, Alabama, is going to be doing an overview on Jupyter. CEUs will be available for that. And then on Monday of next week, the friends from Vispero are going to come back and talk about using JAWS with Google Docs. Once again, there will be CEUs that will be available for that. As it is the summertime and things are beginning to warm up, just a reminder that the 30 Love Tennis Kit is available from APH for outdoor, or for that matter, indoor summer types of activities. So we would encourage you to check out those and other physical education types of solutions from APH at your leisure. Now with that, again, joining us from the great city of Louisville, Kentucky, hailing from the great state of Indiana, our Ball State Cardinal, Joe Hodge, who is our software quality assurance analyst, will be taking us through the next 40 minutes or so. And so with that, Joseph, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and I'm going to kick it over to you.
Thanks, Sully. Good afternoon, everyone. As you guys have heard, I'm going to walk you through some accessible solutions from APH and some other places. I'm totally blind to start out. I had retinoblastoma when I was 11 months old, so I have no vision. So as I share my screen and walk you through these apps, I'm going to be doing it from the totally blind point of view. So you will hear my computer sound, and we'll get going. I've been playing video games and just games in general since I was a kid, and it's been fun. So I'm excited to show you guys the mainstream solutions. So let me go ahead and start by sharing my computer screen here.
And while he's doing that, for the moment, I am going to turn off chat because Joe is going to need the access to
Zoom.us system dialog mute button. Zoom.us has new Safari.
All right.
Safari.
So now we are shared, and you guys should be seeing my Safari screen.
Correct.
So the first app I want to talk about is Crossword. So what happened is APH had a crossword program for the computer for many of years that I actually never played when I was a kid. But what we did is we rewrote that idea and we put it on the web. So this is cross-platform. So I'm using a Mac today. However, you can play on Windows, you can play on iOS, you can play on Android. And it works, with a talkback, voiceover, and it's accessible and it's great. So one thing I've learned about crossword puzzles, so let's kind of examine the screen here. We have some O&M specialists on the Zoom call today. So one great thing about crosswords is you get the grid format. So as you guys probably know, teaching a grid to someone—
Jim Sullivan to everyone. https://crossword.aphtech.org/ vertical line crossword window
Sorry
puzzle
about
table
that.
20 columns.
It's all right, Sully. I'll beat you in Slapstack in a minute. So Sully just shared the link to Crossword just so you guys all have it. So basically, what I like about this for orientation and mobility purposes, though, is it teaches you the grid. So in here,
across List box 1 item selected.
I'm at the across list box, but I'm going to ignore that for right now.
Puzzle table.
So one thing to note about screen readers before we start, you definitely want to have with the Mac, it's called QuickNav. On Windows, you see it called Forms or Applications mode. You want to make sure that you're in, that basically you're turning off QuickNav and going into Applications mode on Windows on NVDA and JAWS Forms mode. So
QuickNav on. QuickNav off.
as you can hear there, I turn QuickNav off. So I'm in the grid now. So when I hit left and right,
Black space blank. Puzzle blank. Blank.
you're hearing blanks because there's nothing there.
17 blank.
And that actually coordinates with something. So if I press enter,
17. Abbreviation for direct messages. 3. Text web application.
so now if I know that
Press 17
I can
blank.
go
Puzzle
right
table
back to
20
it.
columns. 20 rows.
and type in
Blank. Blank.
DMS. So if I want to check that now, we actually have most crossword puzzles, you really can't check your answer. I stink at doing crosswords, so I advocated for a way that we could actually check our answers on the fly. So if I hit left,
M blank. D17 blank.
I go back over to 17 here. So I have D. Now if I hit up and down, I just want to show you this.
Black space blank.
You hear black space,
D17 blank. Blank.
and I'm hitting up, and you can,
Blank. Blank. D17 blank.
so you can go up, but you can't go down. There's a black space there. So I'm going to hit right.
M blank. D17
Okay,
blank.
so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check letter. So I can do a command here, which is Control Command L, and I got the D right.
M
I'm going
blank.
to go over to M. You hear the ding. Got that right.
S blank.
And I got the S right. So I got that one correct. Now, you can actually turn on what's called continuous checking as well. So every time I type a letter, it will either buzz or ding. So if it dings, I'm correct. I can move on. If it buzzes, I'm wrong. So I don't do that because I feel like that's completely cheating. But it's nice for when you do something hard that you have no idea what the answer could be. So let's go ahead and look at
M blank.
a few
D
of the
D
options
black
here.
space blank.
So I'm going to
Pop across.
stop
List
interacting with the table, and I'm going to go back here.
across.
I want to show you the options here.
10th grade social. Available puzzles. Options. Menu pop up.
So all the puzzles here, so for example,
Available puzzle. 10th grade social media.
I'm
By
doing 10th grade social media. I thought that would be fun. All these puzzles are included with the app. So I'm going to open
Menu
this
check
box
mark.
up here.
10th grade geometry.
So
By Rachel.
we
10th
have a
grade.
bunch
10th
of
grade.
different
12th. 10th
grade
grade.
levels, and then we also have some New York Times puzzles.
10th grade. 10th grade time.
If I hit N,
Slate and Stylus Associates.
oh, there we go.
Vote 6th grade landmarks and Slate and Mini Puzzle 9 by Mini 8 by Rosemary Sims.
So we have a bunch of different puzzles. You can import a puzzle if you have something written in the across format.
10th grade social
And
media.
you can also import from the New York Times. So I'm going to show
Available
you.
options.
I don't have a
Menu
New York Times subscription, but if I go to options, for example,
menu 13 items.
you can see the options we have.
Reset
So
puzzle.
we have
Control plus
reset
CMD
puzzle. That will clear out anything. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now.
reset puzzle. Web
I was
dialog.
working on this earlier. So I'll
Cancel.
just get rid of
Cancel.
my answers.
Reset puzzle. Button. Puzzle table.
There we go.
Across. 10th grades. Available
There's
puzzle
also
options.
shortcut keys
Menu
for
pop up.
every action.
Menu 13.
So,
Reset puzzle. Control plus CMD plus R.
so you heard it say Control plus CMD, which is Command on the Mac, and then R.
Open. Control plus CMD plus O.
So here is how you would open a file. So if you had a puzzle on your computer, you could just go here and open it.
Open from web. Control plus CMD plus E.
And this is how you could open it from a website.
Open from New York Times. Control plus
And then
CMD plus
this
E.
one is the New York Times. So if you have a subscription, you can log in. The crossword app here will remember your login info. And basically, when you click on this, it will retrieve the newest puzzle for that day. It's really neat. I've gotten to test it, and it makes me want to. I think it's like $30 a year for the crosswords from the New York Times. I just haven't done it yet.
Check letter. Control plus CMD plus
So
L.
here is what I was doing, the Control Command L. So this checks the letter.
Check word. Control plus CMD plus W.
You can also just check a word.
Check puzzle. Control plus CMD plus P.
And then once you complete a puzzle, you could run this check and just make sure you had everything correct.
Start continuous checking. Control plus CMD plus S.
And there's the start continuous checking option I was showing you earlier.
User guide. Control plus CMD plus
And
U.
then here's a user guide.
About. Control
And then
plus
about.
CMD plus A.
So let's go ahead
About.
and
Black space. Blank.
let's try to look at one thing. I'm gonna show
17.
you-
Blank. Down.
I'm going to go to
In
down
text.
here.
Down. Out of. Down. List box. In down. 3. 1. Something that provides updates whenever new content is available. 4. Tech.
Something that provides updates whenever content is available. And it's 4 letters. So I'm going to press enter to, that's where I want to jump to on the grid.
3. Blank. Puzzle table 20 columns, 20 rows.
Oh, I hit the wrong.
Down, down, in down. 1. Something. Press 1. Something that provides updates whenever new content is available. 4. Text.
So now I'm actually brought over to the dialogue. I'm going to ask, does anybody out there know what the answer is? I'm going to turn off voiceover so we don't get a bunch of feedback.
Voiceover off.
And Leanne, if you want to open the chat up, if anybody has any idea what the answer to this could be, we will type it in and find out if you're right.
Okay, it's open.
I think Zoom will actually announce these since I still have voiceover off, but we'll see what happens.
I'll read them. I see push.
Okay.
This person can't see the clue. Your screen is slightly minimized.
magnified.
We can't see, yeah, it's magnified, so we can't see the left-hand side.
A level playing field for everybody, Joe.
Do you remember what the prompt was?
It was, I don't actually, I'll butcher it. Go ahead and turn off the chat. I'll just, I can.
Go for it.
I know the answer, but.
Voiceover on
So
1. Blank. Blank.
If
you have the ability
down,
to minimize your
list box,
magnification,
and
that
down.
would help us.
3. 1. Something that provides updates whenever new content is available.
So it's something that provides updates whenever something is available. The answer to that is feed.
Press 1. Something that provides blank. A blank.
So you hear a little beep here, a little bloop. That means I got to the end and I can no longer type. So it actually lets you know that you're to the end of the box. Now, I do know there's a 1. So that was 1 going down, but there's also 1 going across. So if I hit up now.
E8 blank. E blank. F1 blank.
I can also go right and left.
Blank.
Well, right anyway. Left.
F1 blank.
Black space or at the edge of the puzzle. You hear that sound? That means you're to the edge. So
Blank.
hit right.
F1 blank.
Now I don't remember the clue to this one, so I'm going to press enter.
1. To give money to an online cause. 4. Text.
To give money to an online cause. We'll go ahead and open that up because I can remember that.
Voiceover
I'll
off.
Turn that off. Does anyone know what that answer would be?
Okay, it's open. Makita says fund. Lisa says fund.
That is correct.
Oh, you got lots of fund in the chat now.
Awesome. So I'm
Is
going to go
this
ahead.
free?
It is free.
Okay, I've locked the chat again.
So the only thing that costs money, as I was alluding to, is the New York Times subscription for the puzzles. But as far as getting on here and playing the puzzles we have in that combo box I showed a minute ago, those are all free and sample puzzles. And then you can also get puzzles from other places and import them in if you'd like as well.
Voiceover on
And I can confirm, Joe, that the
2.
cost
1.
actually for
To
that
give money
New
to
York Times
4.
crossword
Text.
is
Right parenthesis.
$40.
4.
$40. Okay.
Out. Across. 10th grade social media. Across. List box. 1. To give money to an online cause. 4. Text.
So
1. To give money to an online cause. 1.
I'm going to go ahead and since we've
F1 blank. Puzzle table
I'm gonna
20
go ahead and
column
type this in
blank.
here.
Blank.
There we go. So I'm going to show you continuous checking. So let's say you're doing a puzzle that's extremely hard and you have no idea what the answer is. So I'm going to hit Command Control S and you hear that little toggle. I'm going to do it again just so you can hear it toggle off. It's kind of, we have sound effects when you do a shortcut key, you actually hear something in response. So we're going to, I hit the wrong key. There we go. See, toggle off, toggle on. So I'm going to
Puzzle
go to
tape
one of
across.
these here.
List box 1 item. 2. 4.
And I'm just
10.
gonna choose
Brief written messages sent via cell phone. 5. Text.
brief written messages sent by a cell phone. So I'm going to go ahead and go to that
10.
one.
Blank. Puzzle table 20 columns.
I'm just going
20
to throw
rows.
a letter and I'm going to say J. You hear it buzz. So that's obviously incorrect. I'm going to do T.
Blank.
I know what the answer is. It's actually text, but we're just going to pretend like I don't know it. So T works, and I'm going to do E.
Blank.
Then I say I don't know. I'm going to hit S. You hear the buzz, so that's not right.
Blank. Blank.
There we go. Got text. So as you can tell, that's one way that you can also do the puzzle, and it teaches you, like some of these harder ones that you may not have the answer to, you could actually still solve.
URL. Edit text.
And
Open
I
from
open
web. Group.
the URL.
Open from web. URL. Open puzzle
Just kind of
cancel.
showing you another shortcut key. So here, if I had a URL to a puzzle, I could type that in. I'm going to hit escape.
S blank. Puzzle table 20
I'm gonna
columns.
turn off
20
the
rows.
Checker. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and stop. That's kind of a brief overview of puzzles, but I just want to say that in doing testing for this, I've really learned the value of having access to these puzzles. One more quick note, being totally blind myself, I do use a Braille display. I'm not using one right now just because of my COVID-19 situation, and it's very tight quarters in here. So with my Mac keyboard and the microphone, I was like, there's no room. It does work with the Braille display. So as I would be hitting left and right here,
T blank.
so like
S
what
blank.
you would see on the Braille display is what you typed in. So you would actually see the letter that you typed. And then if you got to a number,
T blank.
it would have
T10 blank.
Like, so T10, it would actually say T10 on the Braille display. So you would actually be able to know where you were on the grid when you're moving. So that's also kind of cool. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to kick it over
Zoom.us.
to Leanne and Jim here for
Audio
a second
submit mute
for
button.
some poll questions.
Mute but
Yeah, Leanne, you
participant
wanna throw
question and
the
new share
question?
pause
You
share
have
annotate
not
but
stopped
remote control
sharing.
mute
He's
audio
working on sharing.
video submit participants question new share pause share annotate more but stop share button.
So while he's
There we
working on not sharing, we have a question for you. What kind of games do you like to play? So this is multiple choice. You can choose more than one. We are expecting that many of you are game players out there. So are they board games, video games, card games, or text adventure games? And if we came up with something you didn't think of, you can put your game in the chat. So are they board games, video games, card games, text adventure games?
There are some great questions that are flowing into the chat too.
There are. So
We
we'll
may
get-
have to capture these
We
and
will,
send
don't
the
worry.
responses out to the list of participants. And once again, Leanne, we've determined that we always need more time for these events because just based on my watch.
We do. Okay, so board games won, but just by a little bit, 76%. Card games 65, video games 36, text adventure games 13. We'll let you go on. Jim's up to you. Shall we try to catch some of those? Do you know if you can create your own crossword puzzles?
So you can create a crossword puzzle using, there's a Crosslight application. You can use something like that. It is a little challenging because there's an art to crossword making. So it's you know, to get one that actually looks good, it's a lot of practice and work, but you can. I will say as a blind person, like totally blind, it was hard finding an application that allowed you to make one accessibly on my own. There's one called BG Crossword that has a crossword maker, and that's B as in Bravo, G as in golf. That allows you to actually make crossword puzzles, and you can import them across. But that's probably about the closest I've found.
Okay.
Here's one about crosswords working on a Braille note taker. So theoretically, because this is a web-based solution, you could open the browser in your note taker and you could complete the puzzle in your note taker. Is that correct?
That is correct. Theoretically, yes.
Okay,
And I heard one about JAWS. Do you see that JAWS question? I don't know if you got to that one or not. It does work with JAWS, if that was the question.
Okay, Joe, just there are more of these in here. What was that file type that you mentioned that you need for the crosswords for everyone?
It's called a cross. It's just called it's like ACR. It stands for a cross.
Okay.
And you can also use Crosslight. A Crosslight. Sorry. A Crosslight.
Okay, and then you had brought up a URL to be able to type in a puzzle. So,
yeah. So. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so if you had, there were actually some puzzles I found free of charge from the New York Times. So if you actually had a URL that would link you to one of those, instead of saving it to your computer, you could do that. You could actually just type in the URL and go right there. And it would actually open the puzzle in the crossword app. Or let's say someone put one together on like a live, you know, like a blog, you could grab that and put it up on the puzzle website.
Okay, Joe, I'm forcing you to go to the next one.
Okay. So, moving on, we are going to show something called Slapstack Math. So I'm going to go ahead and share my iPhone screen. Give me 1 second. For some reason.
I've got to pause the chat again as soon as you do. I'm just letting
it's giving me
know that. And Joe is always available to answer your questions later through email. So.
Well, what I'm thinking is that sounds like a great webinar for some of these questions that we've got in there is, can we build, or are these available for younger kids, is to run a webinar to teach people how to build their own crossword puzzles. Mm-hmm. That sounds like that would be a huge hit.
You tell us when you're ready, Joe. You already got yeses in there, Jim. And yes, this is available through APH. The crosswords is an APH app.
Zoom. Sharing now here.
Okay.
Zoom.us has new system dialog.
Turn off chat for you.
Application system dialog.
NF, Pluto
Zoom.us
TV,
has new dialog.
Mute, Sleep Plus, South, Garage Band, Zoom, Auburn, Back, Messin, MLB, Soon, Braille Bus, Audio Game Hub, Slapstack Math
here, and I'm going to be quiet because
double
it's going
tap
to have some
to open.
pretty cool sounds.
Landscape.
System has new system
Chart
dialog.
to the left. Slapstack Math.
Slapstack Math.
Hey, Sully, did your kids ever play Slapjack?
Yes, as a matter of fact, they would play Slapjack all the time, usually not within 10 feet of me while I was trying to read a book. There'd be all kinds of slapping, followed by all kinds of screaming as to who was cheating. So yes, very familiar with the show.
So Slapstack Math is similar to Slapjack in the sense that it's all about the numbers. So we have a simple mode here that you can just choose one number or multiple numbers and just wait to hear that number being read. So it's like a flashcard game, and you wait for that number. So for example, it starts on just selecting 11. So it's going to read numbers. It'll say like 1, 4, 11. And when it would hit 11, you would clap your hands, and whoever claps first gets that card, and you pull them in. So I'm going to show you quickly
Play.
Here.
Settings. How to settings
that you can
button.
Kind of customize.
Settings. Select numbers at which flashcards pause. Button.
So that's where you can choose what numbers the flashcards are going to pause on. So right now I have it on 4, 7, and 11. So when we and Sully get ready to play here in a second, that's what we're going to be keying in on.
Select a game. Now it is all 4 operations.
So here's where you can select a game, and you can choose something from single numbers to just addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or you can do all 4.
Seconds between 2 cards. Now it is 3.
So here you can choose the seconds between each, basically each card that comes up. So it'll basically control the pace of game.
Done. Button.
And then that's it. So we're going to go ahead and
Slapstack
play.
Math. Slapstack Math. Slapstack Math.
The idea is for each number you could set a different action. So for example, on 4, I could clap our hands. On 7, I could say stomp your feet. And 11, I could say cluck like a chicken. So you'd have to memorize that and do the exact thing for that number to get the cards, whoever was first. In testing this, there's another QA at APH named William Freeman, and we actually got to test this together since it's a 2-player game. And he cited. And so what I wanted to see is, if you have sight, is there any advantage to playing against a blind person? Because kids, in a second, we're on Zoom. I have actually a little bit of a head start because I have no delay, where Sully has a bit of a delay. So I'm going to automatically win. But so we always look for that advantage, right? But in playing with William, the more rules you set, so you had to cluck like a chicken or clap your hands, it actually created sort of an equal playing ground, because William could actually read the screen and read what comes up, but he still had to remember what action to do. So we're going to go ahead and just do a quick game here.
Play. But
and I'm going to actually turn
watch
off.
a video demonstrate. Yes. No.
I'm going to say no
Play.
So
Let's possible text, and then double tap here to play. To begin playing.
We're going to choose what colors and stuff we're going to be adding. I'm going to actually turn off voiceover for this because it's all pretty much accessible here. And
voiceover
with Zoom,
off.
It's going to not slow me down. So if I touch
Add white.
The edge here, I'm going to go ahead and
add yellow.
I'm going to be yellow.
Add yellow.
There we go.
Double tap here to play. Add yellow.
Sorry. My screen is not working with me here.
Add yellow.
There we go. There.
Yellow. 0 card.
And then I'm going to have Sully be in the other corner.
Add red.
I'll have him be red.
Add red. Add red.
I know sometimes you fight
5
Zoom.
times 2.
Yeah, Zoom's fighting me here, but
Add red. Add red.
there we go.
Red.
Okay.
0 card.
All right, so I'm going to now double pause, or I'm going to double tap in the middle of the screen, and we're going to wait for that number. Now, Sully, remember, just clap 4, 7, and 11.
4, 7, and 11.
9 minus 7.
So we got 9 minus 7.
3 plus 5. 2 plus 5.
It is 7. So 2 plus
Got
5.
it.
So now, I'm going to pull those cards
Yellow.
for me.
4 cards added.
So you just take 3 fingers and you put them in the middle and you just pull them down towards your color. So I'm going to go ahead and double tap in the middle of the screen.
1 times 11.
Sully.
He did not clap.
He did not clap. I didn't hear any clap. So I'm going to pull
Sully
that
is
over.
delayed in more than
Yellow.
one way.
1 card added.
So we're going to pull that towards me. So I'm going to double tap on the screen here.
12 minus 6. 5 divided by 1. 12 divided by 1. 1 times 3. 18 divided by 2. 7 minus 6. 11 minus 7.
Okay, Jim tried to clap.
Hello.
Jim tried to clap. Zoom doesn't always like clapping.
If you sit there and let it do nothing,
I know you're there.
it'll actually make these funny sound effects that me and Sully found out about yesterday. I did not realize it did this. So I'm going to go ahead and scoot those towards for
Red.
him.
7 cards
So
added.
now, let's just go ahead and move along. I'm going to go ahead and triple tap here. And I'm going to turn back voiceover on.
Voiceover on. Slapstack map. Landscape. Select cards. Start over. Stop playing. Button. Cancel.
So we have
Cancel.
these options
Stop
here. So I'm gonna
playing.
hit stop playing.
Button.
And we're going to see.
End of game. Continue playing. The winner is back to home. Red. 7 cards. Yellow. 5 cards.
So we had a close game there on Zoom.
Yes, we did.
Yes. There we go. So that's a little
App
bit about
switcher.
Slapstack Math.
Slapstack Math.
That is
Trick.
actually a free game in the
System has new system dialog.
iOS App Store. You can play on iPad and iPhone, and it is free. So that's great. Great
MLB.
price. So if you're at home and you're just you want to have like a fun game in between kids, I think it's a neat game.
Slapstack page
So I'm
4
gonna
of 4.
show-
Audio game.
Transitioning to something else here real quick, I'm going to show you guys another game that I found through a website called Applevis, which is a great resource for just anything iOS and Mac related. I wish that every operating system could have its own Applevis, because over the years I've learned a lot about it, a lot about my products from there, just different games, different programs, etc. That people can play. So I'm going to go ahead and double tap here. It's got a long intro, so bear with me.
Audio Game Hub 2.
Please turn the accessibility mode
So
off.
this one tells you to turn off accessibility
Use
mode.
headphones for best sound experience.
Voiceover
So I'm gonna
off.
turn off
Royal
voiceover.
Blind Foundation of New Zealand.
And this game actually has built-in accessibility
Auckland University of
controls.
Technology. Leufana University, Lundberg. Sonar Interactive.
And what I like about this is you have a lot of games you can play in this one particular app.
Welcome to the Audio Game Hub. Main menu.
So how
Tutorial.
this works is if I flick down and up now, I can actually have it read to me what's on the screen.
Play games. Tutorial. News. More games.
So I'm going to go up to
Play games.
just to give you an idea what's here.
Games menu. Page 1 of 2. Casino games.
So we have a long list of games. I think you can see all of them on the screen on page 1 here.
Animal
I want
Escape.
to give you an idea
Bomb
of
Disarmer.
what one sort of is
Super
like.
Simon.
So
Archery.
we're going to do archery. kind of want to shoot a bow and arrow today.
Archery game menu. Start new game.
And because we've never done this before, I'm going to show you what
Tutorial.
What it sounds like. So I'm going to run through the tutorial here real quick.
Welcome to the archery tournament of Sherwood Forest. You'll compete against a great many splendid archers from the entire Nottinghamshire. If you prove the best, Lady Marion's hand will be yours. To draw your bow, swipe down and hold your finger on the screen. Next, listen to the targeting sound. It moves from side to side. To hit the center of the board, release the arrow when you hear the sound exactly in the middle. To shoot the arrow, lift your finger.
So I'm actually
Archery game menu. Tutorial.
So in the headphones, when that target noise is going off, it actually does move left and right.
Start new
So I'm going to
game.
go ahead and just
Tutorial.
start
new
real
game.
quick. And I'm gonna stop.
Welcome to the archery tournament of Sherwood. Round 1. You need 15 points.
Maybe a zoom issue.
7 points. You need 15 points. You've got 2 shots
So
left.
now, so you get 3 shots to get 15. Just give an idea here.
It is much louder than you, Joe.
9 points. You've got 16 points. This
I'll turn me
time
up
you
a little bit.
need
Is that better?
15 points.
Hey, you need to turn that
You've
down.
got 1 shot left.
This is awesome.
So
Return. Archery game
there you
menu.
go. You kind of.
Start new game.
kinda-
Wait, you didn't do your last shot.
I know. Now we'll never know how good of an archer I am. So, so once you get to 15, it just kind of goes up to another level, and it gets harder. So the next round is actually 16, and then I believe that the final round you have to get a 30. So you have to almost shoot perfect 10s each time, which is actually difficult. So, but I like this audio game hub because of the fact that it's actually got multiple games. And I'm going to turn off the bird noise there.
Thank you.
I don't know. I kind of like the bird
It's nice
noise.
ambience,
Yeah.
isn't it? So I like it because it is also multi-platform. So it is actually on Android and iOS, and it's also free. So they do have a way that you can donate to them, and but I really like what that company, what they're doing, because you get multiple games all in one platform.
Can you go back to that main menu and we would be able to see all of those game names again?
Yes.
Uh-oh, now you're
Voiceover on. 12:37 p.m. Audio Game Hub 2.
Return.
Possible text. Voiceover off.
Games menu. Page 1 of 2.
So as
Archery.
you can see there, we got several games. And
Hunt.
then if I
Page.
go,
Memory. Labyrinth. Runner. Coming soon. Blocks.
I don't know if
Runner. Coming soon.
I've looked at this
Runner.
at one point.
Coming soon.
Okay.
Blocks.
There's not much there. Okay.
Samurai Tournament.
Didn't know if we'd open up another page there.
Page.
It actually
Archery.
did. It just is one long menu for you.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. so you can kind of see that all the games there. It's a pretty impressive list of stuff that you can do, and not everything's going to be important to every person, but everybody should hopefully find something that they like there.
Okay,
Well, why
you
don't we-
stop sharing. I'll open the chat back up.
Why don't we drop that last poll?
Finder,
question, too? We got
zoomed
about
out,
5
question, new share,
minutes.
pause share,
Yeah.
more button,
So
stop
while we're
share
getting
button,
that
system
stop
dialog,
shared,
you are
what
screen
do you
sharing,
find
zoom.us has new window,
the
you are screen,
purpose
audio
of
sub menu,
games,
mute
in your
button,
opinion?
stop
What
share
is the
button,
primary benefit of games? Socialization, entertainment, developing a skill, or other? And please feel free to throw it in the chat now that chat is open. In your opinion, what is the primary benefit of games? And again, this is an opinion question. There's really no right or wrong here. Socialization, entertainment, developing a skill, or other. And while we're doing that, were the 3 different applications that you shared free?
They are, yes. So Audio Game Hub 2, which is the one I shared last, that was free, and that is on Android and iOS. The game that me and Sully played, Slapstack Math, is only on iOS, but you can play on an iPad and iPhone.
Okay, and 45% did say entertainment they felt was the primary benefit, 26% socialization, and 25% developing a skill, and then we had other who just wanted all of them. So what was the name of that last app you shared again?
Audio Game Hub 2.
Okay. Do you know if any of them were available in Spanish?
I don't, there's not an option in settings for Spanish, so I don't believe so. And Slapstack Math is only in English at this time.
Okay, and the first two were through APH, and you would find those on our website. The audio games is not ours, but it's available. Can you play any of these on an iPod Touch?
You can, yes. You can play actually the Audio Games Hub and Slapstack both on an iPod Touch.
Okay, do you know if the Audio Game Hub has any two-player games?
To my knowledge, the games I've played, and I've played about 8 of them, they are not two-player. They're all just you and the computer.
Okay. One person is sharing that you do need to purchase an annual subscription for the Audio Game Hub 2 for unlimited playing.
Gotcha, yeah.
All right, Joe, can you take just a few minutes to talk about Audio Games Net, Apple Viz, and then maybe transition into a little bit of your experience with the Xbox?
Yeah, so I mentioned Apple Viz a little earlier. I really think that's a really great resource for people to go to and get information on iOS and Mac specific applications. And it's a community where you can just, if you have a question, you can ask a question. You can also look back and find old questions. So maybe you're a little hesitant to ask the question. You can research. So I can just go there, type in games in a search box and find pretty much any thread, like tons of threads about people asking about games. Audiogames.net is a really cool resource. Now, I will warn you, there are some adult-oriented games on there. So if you're recommending this to a student or to a parent, possibly as a teacher, just warn them of that because there are some explicit games out there. But if you go there, what I like is you have at the very bottom of the page is a combo box. And in there, you can actually see any audio or accessible game ever created. It's got a spot on that website. So even games that you can't even get anymore. I actually went there this morning. I searched for Battleship, found the Battleship game, clicked on it, and I was like, ooh, I'm going to play this. And then it said no longer available. So it was probably a game that was written 20 years ago. And that's going to kind of segue me into the next topic here to end the conversation. So with games, unfortunately for the blind and visually impaired, it's sort of a slow moving train, if you will. So for a long time, the best game that we had, or the best games we had, were audio games written, in the mid to late 90s. And, up to like maybe 4 years ago, I would still say that was the case. And even today, I still play those games. There's just not we're not getting games every week. Even on iOS, the Audio Games Hub that I just showed, that's been out for, a year or two. And so it's just very slow moving. However, I would say in the last 3 years, started with Electronic Arts, EA Sports in particular, that brand, started putting accessibility into video games, particularly the Madden series. So when you buy Madden, starting with Madden 2018, there is actually text-to-speech that guides you through the menus, and it's improved every year. So Madden 18 probably was not great. I never actually played it. I bought Madden 20 this year. So I actually went out and bought an Xbox, and I was happy to see that on an Xbox, they now include narrator support. So you can actually get it up and talking all on your own as a totally blind individual. So you turn on narrator and you can navigate through the menus. That's actually what made me stop playing video game consoles. I played just to give you a little quick background, I played the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 all on my own because back then you got a disc, you put it in, the game started. So there wasn't a lot of memorization you had to have. And then the PlayStation 3 came out. I bought one. And, you know, getting to the game, because you could save games on the console or, you know, getting to even the disc, it didn't automatically autoplay. So you had to learn, you know, go 4 right, 2 down. And, you know, and if that didn't change, then you're golden. But if some new menu system came along and replaced it and made it move, then you have to ask someone cited for assistance. Games also got more complex. Like, you know, menus used to not wrap around. You could get to a top and a bottom. So if you ever got lost, you could just hold up and get to the top of the menu. Now they're just wrapping around, and it seems like they're never going to stop. So with Madden getting text to speech, that's huge in that I can now read things and have access to things I never thought possible. The other thing is they also put things like the kicking meter has rumbles. So it actually rumbles, and that's when you would hit A. It rumbles again, that's when you hit A, and it rumbles again, and that's when you hit A. And you would then have a perfect kick. So it actually kind of aids you in kicking the ball since you can't see the meter. So they're starting to think outside the box and say, how can we make these games accessible? Now, things where they still don't have a perfect idea, they like in-game play, like with the playbook and stuff for your calls, that's inaccessible still. So you still have to use some memory there, but it's a start. And I think in the next 5 years, we're going to start seeing a huge push for accessibility in games. I'm starting to hear just general games actually having accessibility menus. So the term accessibility is no longer something these developers are scared of putting in a game. And I think that is a positive start. And I really am hoping in the future, you know, it comes to a point where I'm not buying a $300 system to play one game, as I did for Madden. So one other factor that does come into this too, the PlayStation 4 has accessibility. It has a text-to-speech engine, and they do also have Madden. But you know, you come to a point where you're going to possibly have exclusive games that have accessibility features that may or may not be on a system you have. So there might be a game that comes out that's actually accessible where you say, oh man, I'd like to play that, but you can't because you don't have that system. You bought another one. So there's still some interesting sort of workarounds, and you know, it's not perfect, but I'm starting to see and be happy that they're including it. Now, with EA Sports in particular, they actually also make a hockey and soccer game. They've sort of taken some of the text-to-speech and put it in those games, but they haven't gone as far as they have with Madden. So we're kind of waiting and seeing, you know, will they bring it to the hockey game? Will they bring it to the soccer game? And hopefully NHL, the newest NHL game does have some accessibility, but not all the way through.
So we need to throw a huge round of applause into the chat for Mr. Joe, our Ball State Cardinal. Phenomenal job. We unfortunately do need to wrap up due to some other events that are going on. And what Joe and I will do is actually take the chat, we'll pull out the questions. Joe and I will go through them. And then sometime in the next week or so, we'll send out the questions that you guys have thrown in there, or at least select some of them, and we'll send them out to you and try to get some responses. And clearly this is a topic that everybody is interested in, and clearly we will spend some time thinking about this and how we can continue to bring gaming information to all of you. And I can see all of those thank yous going in there. And Joe, no ACVREP, and the audience is still huge. So again, phenomenal job to you, and thanks to everybody for joining us. Any last words, Leanne? Any last words, Joe?
Yes, you can use the survey to give us ideas of what you're looking for. So you can always use your survey to let us know more. And then if you have game ideas, we accept ideas too. So I dropped that in the chat as well. If you have ideas for games that you don't see out there and want to see, that's what Joe does.
Definitely. And thank you all for coming. I really appreciate it. And you guys are awesome. So.
Okay. Have a great afternoon,
Joe.
everyone.
Thanks, everybody.